Here in the Northeast, we're clearly not immune to wild rain, wind, and weather. Just ask the folks that live along the coast. More often than not, though, hurricanes that start in the south tend to turn into tropical storms by the time they reach our shores. In fact, you'd have to go all the way back to August of 1991 if you were looking for the last hurricane to make landfall here in the Bay State. But hurricane or not, weather is weather, and with the right conditions, it can easily lead to an emergency situation. In Framingham, Massachusetts, you'll find the headquarters for the people that monitor any and all such situations here in our state. Also known as MEMA, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency is the agency that coordinates federal, state, local, and private resources throughout the Commonwealth during times of disasters and emergencies. As residents here, we deal more with winter storms, so we were curious as to how our state would have handled the situations they were dealing with in Texas and Florida. That meant heading 20 feet underground in this bunker to find out.
We can get a Category 3 or a Category 4 hurricane up here that would be equally destructive, or we could have a massive earthquake that would be equally destructive. So the way the response looked in Florida and in Texas would be very similar to what we would do here. We would be employing the same emergency management principles here in Massachusetts as you saw so effectively done in the states and regions impacted by Irma and Harvey.
While what happened in Texas and Florida was unprecedented in that they were back-to-back storms, it's not out of the question that it could happen here in Massachusetts.
If you're a member of the public, if you live in the Commonwealth, you work in the Commonwealth, the message is you need to be prepared. Preparedness is something that should take place before the next storm. The better prepared our public is, the more ready we are in our homes, in our communities, the quicker we will rebound as a community and weather the storm, if you will, and come out on the other side.
That preparedness starts in the home and at the workplace. That can be different based on regions. People that live near the ocean will prepare differently than those who live in the city in rural areas. Secondly, in the event of a power outage, have a way to communicate and stay informed without electricity. Third, families and businesses affected by the event need to have a plan as to whether they will stay or evacuate. The MEMA headquarters is a self-sustaining facility with its own power supply and rations to last for an extended period of time. Folks at home ought to follow suit and be prepared to shelter in place for at least 3 days. That's step 4.
And last, we ask people to consider being involved. Be a good neighbor, be a good citizen in your community. Think about what you can do to help your community be more resilient. How are you going to check on your neighbors? Can you volunteer with an organization within your community or outside of your community? Can you donate funds to an organization such as the Red Cross or Salvation Army? So be involved.
Framingham is the state's central headquarters, but they also maintain 3 regional outposts, with one in Agawam, which covers western Mass, another in Bridgewater that covers the southeast, and the third in Tewksbury to cover the northeast and some areas in the center of the state. Hopefully this has given those of you watching a little bit of insight as to how our own emergency management agency works here in Massachusetts, and more importantly, some of the things that you can do to be prepared in the event that an emergency strikes where you are. Reporting from Town Neck Beach in Sandwich, I'm Brian Sullivan for PCN Life.